Day 674 of doing a LeetCode problem every day until I get a job. All right, y'all, we're back again. Another day, another LeetCode problem where we're doing daily LeetCode problems. And today we have question number 2138. Divide a string into groups of size k. The difficulty level is easy, but don't worry because you already know we're going to keep the solution as simple and easy to understand as possible. But before we get started, y'all, don't forget to like, hype, subscribe, comment, and share. And if you need any new Apple AirPods, go ahead and check out that link in the description so you can get you some. Now let's see what the question says. It says a string S can be partitioned into groups of size k using the following procedure. The first group consists of the first k characters of the string. The second group consists of the next k characters of the string, and so on. Each element can be a part of exactly one group. For the last group, if the string does not have k characters remaining, a character fill is used to complete the group. Note that the partition is done so that after removing the filled characters from the last group, if exists, and concatenating all the groups in order, the resultant string should be S. Given the string S, the size of each group K, and the character fill, return a string array denoting the composition of every group S has been divided into, using the above procedure. All right, y'all, so that may seem like a lot, but it's really not confusing. So let's go ahead and take a look at these examples just to make sure that we are doing this problem correctly. So in example 1, our input S equals a string A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. K equals 3. So that means we're going to split this string up into 3 groups. Into groups of 3. Not 3 groups, groups of 3. Sorry about that. And then fill equals X. So that means if there's not enough letters to make every group have 3 characters, then we'll replace the last group or the last characters with fill or X in this case. So the output is an array of strings A, B, C, D, E, F, G, I, H. As you can see, they just broke this up into groups of 3. Boom. Explanation says the first 3 characters are A, B, C from the first group, the next 3 characters D, E, F from the second group, and the last 3 characters are G, H, I from the third group. It says since all groups can be filled by characters from the string, we do not need to use any fill. Thus, the groups formed are A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, H, I. So once again, since this is divisible by 3, we were able to just separate this string into groups of 3, right? Boom. So we didn't need to use fill or this X. Now let's take a look at example 2 where we will need to use this fill because there's the amount of characters is not divisible by 3. So in example 2, our input S equals a string A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. K equals 3, fill equals X. This time the output is an array of strings A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, JXX. So as you can see, once again, we broke this up into groups of 3. But once we got to the last group, since there were not enough letters to make the last group have 3 characters, we just filled in the missing characters with this fill right here, or X. So that's where these 2 X's come from, just to make sure that this group still has K characters or still has 3 characters. We just put the missing characters, we fill those up with these X's or with this fill. Boom. Explanation says similar to the previous example, we are forming the first 3 groups A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. For the last group, we can only use the character J from the strings. To complete this group, we add X twice. Thus, the 4 groups formed are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, and J, X, X. Boom, y'all. So now that we understand the question, let's get into the fun part, the actual solution. Solution is not that difficult. Now, first thing we're going to do is we're going to create an array that will store the final groups of the string. So we're just going to declare variable call ands, and we'll set that equal to an array of strings. And come outside of that and put a parentheses, right? Because our output is an array of strings, so we need to create something here where we can store that at, or we need to create an array here for us to store those strings. Now we need a temporary array that will be used to collect characters for the current group. So here we'll declare a variable called cur, and we'll set that equal to an array. This time it's going to be an array of character. Boom. And once again, initialize it with the parentheses like so. Now we're going to iterate through each character in the input string by saying for C in S. We're going to open up the brackets. And we're going to add the current character to the current group. So we're going to say cur.append, open up the parentheses, pass in C. Now when the current group reaches size K, we're going to say if cur.count equals K, and we're going to open up the brackets and we're going to convert the character array into a string and add it to the result array. So we're going to say ands.append, open up the parentheses, string, open up some more parentheses and pass in cur. And then we need to reset the current group to start building the next one. So we'll come underneath this and we'll set cur equals a blank array. Now, after iterating through the string, we need to check if there are leftover characters. So we'll come down here and we'll say if exclamation point cur dot is empty, then we're going to open up the brackets. And if the last group is smaller than K, we're going to fill it using the fill characters. So we're going to say while cur dot count is less than K, we're going to open up the brackets and we're going to say cur dot append, open up the parentheses and pass in fill. Then we're going to convert the fill group to a string and append it to the result. So we'll come underneath this and we'll say ands.append, open up the parentheses, pass in string, open up some more parentheses, pass in cur. Boom. Now we need to return the array containing all of the groups by coming underneath this, and we need to say return ands, y'all. Boom. So let's go ahead and give this a run. Let's see, it's accepted. So let's go ahead and submit it. Make sure it's still accepted after we submit it. Boom, and look at that, y'all. 0 milliseconds beats 100% of users. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I like to see, y'all. So with that being said, make sure you get one more look at the code. This is the top part. This is the bottom part. And yeah, y'all, with that being said, I hope y'all learned something today, and I hope to see y'all here tomorrow for another day, another LeetCode problem. See y'all then.